Okay, hello. I'm Dugan, Director of Indian Education Department here in Great Falls, Montana. And today I'm going to be talking with my part of the story about the moccasins. In the story, the people end up giving the man in the red suit a pair of moccasins so that he'll be able to survive the Montana winter. On the supplies that we sent home with you, we have this little cutout that we're going to do to make into an ornament of these moccasins. Moccasins come in many different shapes and styles, and again they have to go with what terrain are the people living in on how that will need to be used and how they're going to be made. I brought in a few samples of some moccasins that I have that I would like to show you. I got a pair of sealskin moccasins that were from further north on the Pacific coast. They're made out of seal fur. They have a seam only at the top of this edge. The reason you'd want to do that is that they're in an area where it's wet and cold, and having sealskin will keep your feet dry because of the seal fur will repel the water. With having the seam up really high, like in a pucker toe fashion, it keeps it that you can walk through the water in the damp areas and the water won't get into your moccasin. So very practical for an area like the rainforest. Another style will be, let's do this one. This would be Plains Indian style. It has a soft top and a very thick bottom. Has some beadwork done on it. I got this at a ceremony a couple of years ago, and a young lady from Canada who is a Blackfoot made these for not for me, but she was there and she gave them to me at that ceremony. These have the seam on the sides that are all the way around. These are made for living on the plains. Here in this area of Great Falls and the plains where we live at, we wear out the bottoms of our moccasins really fast. So we like to put on really thick latigo kind of leather. In the old days, I know that they would put rawhide on here. It was made so that you could change the tops very easily and just add a bottom, and then that's why you have the sewing all the way around this moccasin. So for this area, this is the right kind of footwear to have so it doesn't wear out so fast. We have some small girl moccasins. These would be good for powwow if you wanted to go to and dance. But they're small, they're stand-up. Again, has a single sole on it so that you can change it and keep your beadwork. So once you wear this out dancing your little heart out, you can then still change it and still keep the tops looking new. So these are the ones that would wrap up. In the old days, this would be more of a winter style. Or maybe if you had to walk through the grass, you were walking through a lot of tall grass, you'd want to wear something that covers your shins and your calves so that you're not getting scratches on it. So they would have this style, wouldn't have the beadwork on it at the top. That would be for an everyday moccasin. It would be made for walking through tall grass. These next ones are commercially made. They're fine. You'll see these at powwows and people wearing them around. These are more of a, it's got that sole thing on it. So it is kind of like a Plains Indian. A lot of times with this nice big opening, I think of it as being more, a little bit more southwest so that it's easier to get in and out of the sand kind of stuff with it. But it's a commercial one that's sold all across the nation. So you can still get them commercially, or you can have the handmade ones that I just showed you. I have these little tykes. This is a pucker toe. If you can see the edge of it, it has little puckerings on it. Beadwork here on top that's been put on top of it. But this one, again, doesn't have a sole on the bottom of it. This is all one piece so that it pulls up, tucks in. This would be another eastern, someplace where it's going to be kind of wet on the ground and you don't want your seams exposed to the water so water's coming in on your foot. But that's another little baby moccasin. That's a pucker toe. So different kinds of shoes are going to be made in all different parts of our country, and it's just good to know the background that moccasins can be so many different styles, and it has to do with your environment and where you're living at so that you can have a good chance of working properly there in that environment. So I'm not the best colorer, but I want to color my moccasins before I cut them out. So I'm going to take my pattern now, and since for me, I usually think of the bottoms of moccasins to be dark, I'm going to use a nice brown crayon and color in the bottom nice and dark. And I don't really have to follow the lines, because then if I cut with my scissors, I can get it out of there and make it look pretty good. Then I think I'm going to make what they call the corral on mine. I'm going to make a line, comes in, and a circle. Some people call it like a keyhole. So I'm going to do this keyhole. This keyhole is a Plains Indian design that we like to use, and what it is it's represents driving the buffalo into a corral. This would be the opening of the corral, pushing the buffalo in, and so then we could hunt them and gather them for food. So you'll see this pattern on a lot of different people's feet, their shirts, and now you know that that's why they have it on there, is that it represents the old way of catching buffalo with the corral. And I think just to represent a little bit of the wrapping, to make sure that it's gonna, my boot is gonna, moccasin will stay up there, I'll put some lines on it, and I'm just gonna kind of make a bow up here. There, and I think I'll cut that out and I'll put that on the tree. So you are going to need scissors, and we always remind you that when you're going to be using scissors, to get permission so that you don't hurt yourself or anyone else or ruin somebody's stuff, cutting your figures out with your scissors for your ornaments. Okay, then I will just make a small snip here. And then I will hang this on the Christmas tree. All right, so as we're finishing up, I just cut it out so we can make it a little bit more balanced. I've made this snip, and I'm just going to put the hook through. And then I'll be able to hang it on my tree and have a new ornament on the tree of the moccasin. So as you're telling the story from looking at your ornaments on the tree, you'll be able to see that when you come to the moccasin, you'll remember to say that the people gave the man in the red suit a new pair of moccasins. Thanks for joining me, and enjoy the rest of the story with us.